See, when you watch videos telling you about the things, the items that you need to start a reselling business, you're gonna be seeing stuffs like, you need a printer, you need a monitor, you need a PC or a laptop, you need a measuring tape, and all stuffs like that. Of course, these are things that you ultimately need to excel or to make your work easier as a reseller. But in this video, I'm going to be telling you, and I stand to be corrected, that one other thing that you need that is not talked about is the fact that you need a car to be successful as a reseller. See, I'm telling you from experience, because I'm just coming now from 2 weeks of not having my car. The whole business just crumbled. This is not something I have planned for initially. See, I've always had my car for a very, very long time, and ever since I was even operating from my garage, then I moved to the warehouse, I've always had my car with me. So I kind of underestimated how important that car is or was to my business. 2 weeks ago I made a video. I was supposed to make a day in the life of a reseller video. I started out, everything was nice, everything was good. Somewhere along the line of making that video, my car developed a fault. I also captured it and I shared it on the video. That, guys, the video didn't go like I planned, because in between my trips to go pick up some laptops, my car from nowhere developed, there was this blinking sign, kind of spiral on my dashboard, and when I checked it, I realized that the car was telling me that the particulate filter was full and blocked, and the car was already in a limp mode, so the car wasn't driving properly. So I went to the workshop and tried to sort things out. That thing took me 2 weeks of not having my car, 1,700 euros, not even the amount that I paid that is most annoying, the fact that I just couldn't do anything in this time. See, my warehouse is 15 kilometers from me. It's not reachable by bus. All right, and the other items I have to ship out, they are heavy items. I have to ship out monitors, laptops, desktop PCs. These are not things, and the post office, mind you, is also 3 kilometers away from my warehouse. So in actual fact, I have to drive to the warehouse 15 kilometers, then another 3 kilometers to go to the post office, have to come back, and then come home in the evening. Guys, I just put my shop on holiday mode. This was the reason why you would have noticed that in the last 2 weeks I have been making videos right from this spot, me just sitting down on my balcony, talking to you guys. And I kind of also enjoy this kind of format of just talking without necessarily showing you guys the hardwares that were sold, or even talking about the core items that sold. So because of that, I put my shop on holiday mode for the last 2 weeks. Guys, sales dropped. Everything you can think of that happens to a shop that is placed on holiday mode has pretty much happened. My impressions down, my sales down. When I take a look at the visitors coming to my page to even click, everything down. And only today I got the car back. I was in the minus with 1,700 euros, but with this, the particulate filter was cleaned, restored, and the brakes behind was they were fixed, and the two metals behind the spring, I don't know what it's called in English, was also done. And at the end of the day, I just took this car to them. I was, for like 5 minutes, I was sitting inside and I was just like, really? So it doesn't matter how beautiful your process is, something that is often overlooked, which is this car right here. Most times we do not factor this into the processes that we are building. We get inventories. We have a very good process to process the goods that come in. We have very good process to clean the items, to make sure they are well photographed. We've also gone ahead to make a good process to ensure that the items are immediately listed as soon as they've been tested and checked for functionality. But one thing I didn't really plan for was the fact that what happens when your car refuses to drive? What do you do? Given that you have a warehouse that is pretty much far away from your home, it's not something you can just go to with a roller. I do have an e-scooter, but I just don't imagine me driving 15 kilometers one way. And even if I get there, I will first of all be so exhausted, and at the end of the day, I won't be able to go to the post office, and it was just not worth it. So for 5 minutes, I was just sitting down, started appreciating the fact that I even have a functional car to start with, and started seeing how this car has been, one of the very best things that happened that even made this reselling business to be very successful. And then that reminded me of the early days when I had to go pick up stuffs, with my foot, with some hand carrier or something like that. I don't know what they call this thing in English, but I used to do that for years. Like in the very beginning, this was how I was picking up stuff: printers, monitors, desktop PCs. I would put them on this carrier, put them in the train, and even put them in the bus and then bring them home. It was a major time waster. I could only pick so many items in a day, and I could only struggle with the bus so many times a day. I will be tired after 1 or 2 trips. I'm exhausted. I waste a lot of money just to be able to make 30 euros. And then came the car. Things were pretty much faster. I go out to pick items. I'm talking about then when I was still sourcing from people's homes, buying stuff from private individuals. You go out, you can visit like 5 or 6 stops depending on how smooth the logistic was, which is in terms of how the addresses, how far they were from each other. And when you bring the items home, it was very easy for you to just bring everything once home, take them up to the warehouse, clean them, and when anything sold, I didn't have to be going to the post office one after the other. Just take everything, drive to the post office. Everything was running so smoothly. And sometimes when things are so smooth, we tend to forget what or the item that even made it possible. I used to think it was my very good process, the fact that I had a very good table, a good computer, a good label printer or stuff like that. Guys, I'm telling you, now that I didn't have my car for 2 weeks, getting my car back, I want to tell you for free that this car was one of the best things that happened to this business, and one of the biggest contributor to the success of the business. So I want to tell you, yes, it's good to have a computer. It's good to invest in a good label printer. It's going to make your processes smarter. It's good to invest in a good table, because if you are operating from the ground, sooner or later you're going to have waist pain, and when that happens, you'll be able to function the way you should. If you do not have a good selection of materials, good cartons, good bubble wraps, you're going to be wasting time. But above all this, I'm telling you today, plan to get a car, no matter how small. We are in the days where it's kind of cheap to buy a car these days. I'm talking about the dead cars. Yes, you might not have to get a very expensive car, but if you still have about 3,000 euros, if you can save up for it, with 3,000 or 5,000 euros, you can actually get a functional car. I'm telling you, it's going to change the game for you. Of course, I understand this is not for you if you are starting out, you do not have any capital. Look, I'm talking about if you have said to yourself, I want to make this a functional business. I want to make this work. It doesn't matter come what may. This business has to work. I want to do everything I possibly can to see to it that everything is, the business is set up correctly and is a functional business that can bring money every given day. You need to plan to having a car. Of course, the same thing, like I said, plan for the other items, a good table, good lighting system, because you working in a warehouse without good lighting system, you're going to be tired sooner or later. And sometimes you cannot work fine to the night if all you have is just a small bulb hanging up there. It's not going to be exciting. But if you have good lighting system, above all these things, if you still have money left and you are keeping the money on the side and thinking to yourself, I have a business but I don't want to spend money in this business, you are doing something wrong. Take whatever you have saved up, buy a car. You're going to be able to scale up your business pretty fast, because when you have a functional car, you can go out, you can save a lot of time. The time you would have wasted in going from one public transport to the other, you would have saved it, and now put that time that you have saved on something like listing items, or even sourcing new inventories, or even connecting with people that will change the business for you. Yes, I understand the car could be a costly investment. I used to think this way, guys. I'm telling you from experience, it could be a very costly investment, but if you consider how that car can actually scale up your business and make you have a stress-free life, especially when you have kids and you're trying to juggle a work, like a full-time job and even a business on the side, you definitely need a car. I shall not be corrected. I have watched a lot of YouTube videos, telling you about the kind of items that you need to succeed in your business. I do not see people talking about this enough, and this is why I'm making this video, to kind of open your eyes to the fact that yes, at some point in your business, if you really want to do this thing the way it should be done, you definitely need a car, and begin to plan for it. And as soon as you can get money saved up, please get yourself a car. It's going to change the game for you. I hope this video helps you. If it does, go ahead, click on the like button, consider subscribing to the channel. Until I see you again in the next one, peace out.